Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here on this rainy, hot summer day. It is an honor to share this moment with you all. My name is Cam Morales, and I am the co-chair of the advisory board for the Alliance for American Leadership, a first of its kind organization dedicated to cultivating the next generation of principled, visionary leadership. It is a shared commitment that brings us here all together tonight, and it is a great pleasure to introduce someone who embodies the very spirit of that mission. He is a dear friend, he is a young leader of exceptional talent, and he inspires and uplifts those around him. He is the driving force behind this movement, and he is the executive director of the Alliance for American Leadership. Please join me in welcoming the executive director, Asher Moss.
Thank you guys all for coming out tonight, braving the storm. I know it was crazy out there. I'll tell you, when this event was starting out, we had like maybe 10 people in here at 6:45, and I was like, no one's going to come. This is not going to work. Well, sure enough, people showed up. So I'm so grateful to all of you for being here tonight. I also want to say a special thank you to members of our host committee and sponsors this evening. That is Eleanor Mahoney, Gerald Haney, Lauren Hershey, Evan Davies, Kiara Hepp, Rhonda Leeds, Michael Calhoun, Joel Stent, Cam Morales, of course, Michael Belitsky, Malik Ross, Danny Suarez, Nicole Rogers, Samuel Gertzen-Schuming, Abigail Bowman, Jordan Henderson, and Ryan Lee. So, big list of people. Give a round of applause for all of them. I also want to thank all the people around the country who are fighting for this cause. To everyone in the USAID community who didn't give up when their agency was shut down, but who fought, who stood up for what they knew was right, who stood up for our country, for American leadership, for humanitarian aid, for doing the right thing on the world stage, and for the 14 million lives that all of us know are at risk if we can't get these foreign aid programs restarted. So give a round of applause for everyone in the USAID community who is here tonight and who is out organizing around the country. Their advocacy is a reminder that silence is not an option, that we have to speak up and we have to fight back. So what is the Alliance for American Leadership? Why are you guys all here tonight? So, we're a nonpartisan political action committee with one simple goal: bring back foreign assistance. We are going to reverse the cuts to foreign assistance programs. So I founded this organization in January after the pause in USAID funding. And I can tell you that the reason I founded it was pretty simple. I was reading stories each day about people whose lives were being lost due to these foreign assistance cuts. I was looking at the PEPFAR impact counter rising every day, knowing about that rising death toll, and I realized we had to do something. So the first thing that I did is I reached out to congressional staffers that I knew. My background is I worked for a while in Jerry Connolly's office, best congressman that I've ever seen. He was Mr. Foreign Aid. And he was a congressional staffer, and of course, he continued that fight on Capitol Hill. So I reached out to people in his office, I reached out to other staffers I knew, and I started asking people to do the same. I said, listen, we can get these programs restarted. We talk to people, and we get the word out there. And slowly, that morphed into this coalition. We now have 500 campaign volunteers in over 39 states. Fighting to restore foreign assistance programs. And those campaign volunteers and field directors are the heart of our effort. Our mission is to make foreign aid a local priority issue for every member of Congress. When we make strategic investments in foreign aid, it saves lives, strengthens alliances between America and its allies, and bolsters our national security. It also helps nonprofits, small businesses, family farms, other people here in the US that provide that food, medicine, and life-saving care that people around the world have. Foreign aid is not just a good investment. It's a local investment in every congressional district. And that is what we are saying to policymakers on the Hill. We recognize that we're not going to win this fight here in DC. We're going to win it in Virginia, in Mississippi, Maine, Indiana, and in my home state of Florida. We're going to win it because of people like Thomas Whitcutt, the youngest nominee for Congress in 2024, who is now organizing hundreds of volunteers for our organization in Florida to fight for foreign assistance. We're going to win it because of people like Nita Hadi, who knocked on 565 doors last week of Walkinshaw's primary campaign, getting out the vote for a hero. We're going to win it because of people like Josh Higginbottom. Josh was the youngest member of the West Virginia House of Delegates. Now he's organizing our chapter in West Virginia. And we're going to do the same thing each state across the country where we believe we can pressure policymakers to restart these foreign assistance programs. So what's our first issue here? Most Americans don't understand what the foreign aid budget actually looks like. Polling shows most Americans think we spend 25% budget on foreign aid. Frankly, that would be a bit ridiculous, and we don't. It's less than 1%. So the very first mission of everyone in this room tonight is tell your friends, tell your family, tell your community, we spend less than 1% on foreign aid. And that kind of funding has saved millions of lives and made America a leader on the world stage. It's that simple. And we're going to continue telling that message across the country. We are on track right now to have 10,000 campaign volunteers and field directors on our team by the midterm elections. We have 500 right now, and we're growing by 20 every day. I know people in this room are field organizers. They are recruiting. They are doing an incredible job, and we are building that local support for foreign assistance. But we're also working with policymakers on Capitol Hill to save foreign aid programs. One of our priorities over the past couple months has been protecting funding for PEPFAR. PEPFAR is an HIV/AIDS prevention and treatment program that saved 26 million lives since President Bush started 2 decades ago. We're explaining to policymakers that this isn't just a humanitarian program, but it has real national security impacts. Guess what? I was having my coffee this morning, first cup, had another one here, reading Punchbowl News, and this is what I saw. The rescissions package touches on foreign aid programs as well as public broadcast funding. Senator Susan Collins, the Appropriations Committee chair, is among the leading skeptics of the proposal. There's also Senator Tom Tillis, a new wild card of sorts after he announced he isn't running for re-election in 2026. Tillis said that while he's sympathetic to the argument that cutting foreign aid undermines national security, he expects to vote yes. I'm planning on supporting it, but there are people who have expressed soft power national security concerns. And this was right after, yesterday, our advocates met with Senator Tom Tillis, our national security team led by General Bo Mahaney and Danny Suarez, and 30 of our constituent advocates met with Senator Tom Tillis' office, and we met with Susan Collins' office, and we explained to them the real national security impact. Because what we fundamentally believe is that when you give good information to policymakers, when you put them in front of experts and their constituents, and maybe if you provide a bit of political backing too, we can change those. And that's the mission. We can bring back foreign aid. So with that, I want to introduce member of our board and champion of American leadership, Cheryl Janey.
Thank you, Matt. I'm Cheryl Janey. I'm a retired defense industry executive. I say retired, which means I no longer work for money. But that doesn't mean I don't work. and I am delighted to be on this board and working with a very important mission of continuing aid, not just because it's the right thing to do, but because it's vital for America. I have the honor tonight to introduce to you our speaker of the moment, a man who is deeply committed to the community, to our country, and to this cause. Little known fact that I found out earlier, James Walkinshaw's grandfather worked for USAID. He started his career working early for Congressman Jerry Conlon, who you've already heard mentioned this evening. And then went on to serve as a supervisor in Fairfax County, Virginia, running local government. As Jerry moved on to his, what I like to call his next adventure, one of the last things Jerry Conlon did was work very hard to throw his support behind James Walkinshaw and to get himself and those who knew him active. James won the Democratic primary for the 11th district seat decidedly. It is my pleasure, my honor to introduce to you my friend, James Walkinshaw.
All right, thank you, Cheryl. Cheryl and I have known each other for a long time. She is an incredible leader here in Washington, but more importantly, in our home of Fairfax County. Thank you for everything that you do and contribute. And to Asher and the Alliance, I am blown away and amazed by what you all have accomplished already. I so look forward to seeing the incredible things that the Alliance will do. I've been waiting 42 years to say this, but I'm so impressed by what these young people have done. So congratulations to you all. And I am here for a lot of reasons, but I'll give you two. I'm here tonight for Amran and Marwan. And some of you probably read the Washington Post series recently on the impacts of the cuts to U.S. aid and to U.S. foreign assistance. And Amran was a 3-year-old living in South Sudan. And he died in his mother's arms for lack of a very basic medicine. He died of a chest infection. And he died because the United States of America eliminated the funding for the program that had been delivering that medicine to his community for many years. Marwan is his twin brother, who's still here and wondering tonight, I'm sure, where his brother is. And that's why we're all here. All of us who are here tonight are motivated, I know, by the moral imperative of the United States continuing to play an active role in the world. But the importance of the mission of the Alliance is not to speak to the choir of those of us who already believe in the moral imperative, in the hopes of growing that coalition nationally, which is absolutely critical. So thank you for being here and being a part of that. As Cheryl mentioned, I was Jerry Connolly's chief of staff for 11 years. As Asher mentioned, he earned the moniker Mr. Foreign Aid when he was a young staffer on the U.S. Senate Foreign Relations Committee, working for a young senator at the time by the name of Joseph Robinette Biden. And they worked together for many years to expand U.S. assistance across the globe. And his laser focus, commitment, and conviction to the importance of foreign aid never wavered, whether it was through his defense of PEPFAR, pushing for robust global health funding, standing up for democracy in Eastern Europe and Ukraine, or supporting USAID. And let me just stop for a moment. I just want to ask all of the USAID employees or contractors to raise their hands. Put your hands up. Any other federal employees, current or former, put your hands up. Let's give all of them a round of applause. I really think that we need to normalize, just as at so many events throughout our nation, we ask our veterans to rise and be recognized for their service appropriately. I think we should be asking all of our federal workers to do the same everywhere in this country for the incredible service that they provide. So thank you all for doing that. Look, this is really important. The stakes are high. We know that across the United States, there is a growing trend toward isolationism. Donald Trump and J.D. Vance are the faces of it. They're the ones executing it today, but it doesn't end with them. There is a growing movement in the United States to turn inward, to slash the very tools that have defined our leadership in the post-war era. And the Trump administration's efforts to decimate U.S. aid are not just misguided, they're dangerous. He's proposed cuts of 30, 40, or 50% to all U.S. foreign assistance programs that fight poverty, improve global health, stabilize fragile states, and prevent conflict. And those attacks aren't just on budgets. Those have been attacks on the very people, the folks who had their hands raised, many of whom I hope to represent, who have served in the most challenging circumstances at home and abroad, and they've been targets of smear campaigns, quite frankly. I don't know any other way to describe it. It's despicable to describe career civil servants, most of whom could make a lot more money doing other things, but have decided to dedicate themselves to advancing our American values. They deserve our respect, not to be vilified by conspiracy theories or political attacks. Even worse, those attacks have undermined decades of bipartisan consensus. I was speaking earlier to a Republican who's here about how can we rebuild bipartisanship in this country. And for decades, there was more or less a bipartisan consensus around the importance of the United States playing an active role in the world. That consensus is being decimated today. And when we create a vacuum, and we are creating vacuums across the globe, vacuums don't go unfilled. That vacuum is being filled today, most often by China, through their very aggressive Belt and Road Initiative, which continues their predatory lending practices, their authoritarian model of development. And if we continue to allow that vacuum to persist, they will continue to fill it. And Asher said it well. U.S. foreign aid represents less than 1% of our federal budget. And you all have seen, and some of you probably contributed to the studies demonstrating that the cuts just in the last 6 months have likely led to at least 89,000 unnecessary deaths around the world. And I think if you ask almost any American, including those who voted for President Trump, would you be willing to spend pennies, a couple of pennies as a taxpayer, to save the life of Marwan or 89,000 other people, including children around the world? The answer would be, for most Americans, a resounding yes. But so many myths persist about the amount of our budget that goes to foreign aid. We know here that foreign aid is not just a charity. It keeps us safe. It creates new markets for American goods that benefit American companies and American workers. It helps to contain disease outbreaks before they reach American shores. And it, most importantly, I would say, projects the best of who we are as Americans. Our values, our compassion, our innovation, our ability to deliver. life-saving interventions every corner of the globe. And I think if you're a student of history and you look back at the superpowers throughout history, Roman Empire, the British Empire, the United States of America is unique. Far from perfect, but unique in that we have made delivering life-saving interventions, lifting people out of poverty and relieving suffering core to our national mission. It is part of who we are as Americans. And yes, it supports jobs and economic activity here at home, including in Northern Virginia, that I hope to represent in Congress. And cutting funding less than 1% of the total budget does nothing to address the deficit. And all of those reasons are why I am so inspired by the Alliance and the work that you all are doing. You're stepping into that breach and helping to rebuild a bipartisan coalition around smart and strategic engagement. And I think the approach the Alliance is taking makes perfect sense, because I will tell you one thing about politicians. Politicians, in order to be successful, you have to learn what is rewarded and what is punished at the ballot box. All of these high-minded ideas are nice, but at the end of the day, all 535 members of Congress have to wake up thinking about, will my constituents vote for me or against me based on this issue? And we have to show up in the offices of 535 members of Congress with their constituents, making it very clear that if you don't support U.S. foreign aid, we won't support you when you run for re-election. That's what we have to do all across this country, and I'm so appreciative of the Alliance doing that. It is not easy work. As I said, isolationism is surging. Slogans like America First, that we've heard before in this country, threaten to become more than just a slogan and a long-standing policy. But I'm very confident that with folks like the Alliance doing this work, that we can stem the tide and turn this around. If I have the honor of serving in Congress, and I know we have a number of folks from the 11th district here, you have my commitment to work alongside you. I want to see us restore and expand the funding for foreign aid, including USAID, so we can respond to crises around the globe quickly and strategically. We need to protect and restore funding for the Global Fund and PEPFAR, as was mentioned. We need to defend democracy and civil society in the face of rising authoritarianism around the globe. And obviously that is more challenging given the challenges to democracy that we face here at home, but more important than ever. We have to support women's empowerment, education, and economic inclusion in developing nations, because we know those are the investments that have the highest long-term return. And we have to stand up to those in the White House, in Congress, on the campaign trail, who want to turn foreign aid into a punching bag. We got to push for accountability and transparency, no question, in terms of how every American taxpayer dollar is spent. And the programs that we fund have to be measurable and they have to work. And then we have to communicate that to the American people. And I know that's the work that the Alliance is going to continue to do. Thank you all so much for being here from the beginning. I so look forward to see the incredible things you're going to accomplish. I will be right there with you every step of the way. Thank you.
I also want to say thank you one more time to the 30 volunteers from the Alliance for American Leadership for phone banking, canvassing, and getting out the vote for James. We are so happy to be behind James, and we're going to be behind him in the general election as well. So let's give it up for them. James was saying was absolutely right. We need to work with members of Congress tell them that their constituents, that their voters will be there for them if they're there for us on foreign aid. And with that, I would like to introduce the co-chair of our board, Joel Stennett.
First of all, I want to thank you all today for taking the time out of your incredible busy schedules to come to speak with us and hear from us about why we care about the Alliance for American Youth. For those of you who don't know me, that's one way of introduction. My name is Joel Stennett. I'm the co-chair with Ken Morales. And I want to speak briefly to you about why foreign aid, in particular this organization, is incredibly important to me. With all the division in this country, I find it imperative that we get involved, particularly get involved in causes that we care about. As a proud child of an immigrant, I found and I was taught to love this country, and the best way to love your country is by getting involved. Yet people not too far from this location who would tear down the walls and all these relationships that we've built over the past 50 years. And personally to me, in my family's home country, you've had China come in, develop roads and develop roads that we see in West Africa. And now America, our adversaries, out our back door. Now, personally, I don't think that's a great idea. However, if you personally don't believe that foreign aid that matters to people, we talk about all the economic things. But we're not getting into this right now. I believe overall, it's imperative that we give back, we share with each other our relationships, our resources, and overall make America better by providing each other around the world with our graces.
We've shown what's possible. We've had policymakers, diplomats, USA employees, Democrats, Republicans, implementers, leaders in this room tonight showing what it looks like to bring back foreign aid. And this is just the first of dozens of launch parties that we have planned across the country to show that local support for foreign assistance. So I'm so glad you're all here tonight. I also do want to say something personal. I think you guys might have realized by now, but I'm not the oldest guy in this room. I just graduated from college. I still got student loan debt to repay. But tonight, I decided to make a $5,000 contribution to the Alliance for American Leadership. And I'm doing that because I believe in what we're doing. I believe in this movement. I believe it will work. I believe we will bring back foreign aid programs. And everyone here, every implementer, every former USA employee who's lost their job will get their job back. And will be doing that incredible work across the world, preserving American leadership, saving lives, doing what you know you have to do. I believe in what we're doing. And I also want to ask, if you guys don't mind, open up your phone. Everyone open up their phone, please. I want you to text A4, the number 4, AL, to 53555. That's A, the number 4, AL, to 53555. If you want to donate $5, cover the drinks from tonight, go for it. $5 is great. You said, maybe you heard something in the phone tonight, want to donate 50, do it. You want to donate, 500, 5,000, be a leader in our group, do it. And please reach out to me, reach out to Cam, reach out to Joel. Let us know if you want to be part of our coalition. If you want to be a campaign volunteer, if you're interested in being a senior policy advisor or a member of our advisory board, let us know. If you want to be a field director, state chair, organize your state for American leadership, let us know. Be a part of this coalition tonight. And finally, I want to recognize a few of our incredible donors who have agreed to double every donation made tonight. So I want to give a round of applause to Joel Stennett, Cam Morales, and Michael Belitsky, and our other donors who have all agreed to double contributions made tonight. So thank you guys. Do what you can. Please help us. Let's rebuild American leadership. Let's restore foreign aid. Reach out to me. Be part of our coalition. Thank you. Have a drink and have a great night. Thank you all.